Okay. Good evening and welcome to the council meeting of the 24th of June 2019. We are using Facebook Live streaming on Facebook Live. There is no live interaction, but you may leave comments. The most up-to-date meeting package is on the Town of Kentville website. This meeting is called to order. Have all of the councillors received and reviewed their meeting packages? Does any member of council have information pertaining to a matter before this council which has not been publicly circulated? I will remind members of council that we are in decision-making mode and we should be mindful of our decision-making wheel. We have committed to making balanced and respectful decisions and adhering to our code of conduct. We will be voting by electronic ballot on all matters except administrative. Are there any conflict of interest issues we should be aware of before the meeting commences? CO Phillips, could you please take the roll call?
Thank you, Your Worship. We have full attendance as council, with the exception of Councillor Pulsifer, who has sent her regrets. And I'm certain within the council package there's a report or a document that also references that, so we'll note that in the for the record. Solicitor Mertart is purposely delayed as he's not anticipated to be engaged in first in-camera item, so he'll be along after the in-camera. He and I talked about that earlier.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, you have an agenda, a proposed agenda. You will note that it is a little different tonight, that we actually have a presentation of our audit results, and we are going to move in camera for a legal issue at 7:30. Our intent will be, once our lawyer departs, is that we go back live Facebook. So for those of you watching out there, the intent is at 7:30 to go in camera and then come back out with a decision from that session and complete the remainder of our agenda. So are there any additions or deletions to this agenda? If I could have a motion, please. Thank you. All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. You have before you the minutes of the 27th of May 2019 council meeting. Are there any errors or omissions in the minutes? If no, the minutes are approved as distributed. If yes, the secretary will annotate the minutes in red and they will be added to the electronic meeting file. No errors? Moving on. All right, presentations of the audit statements and audit committee recommendations. So you have received the packages. So there's one called Annual Fiscal Report in your package. It was placed there this morning. This will be available on the Town of Kentville website within a few days for anybody going looking for it the usual way. And as well, your Town of Kentville annual report will also be there. So both of those documents were reviewed by our auditor. The other thing that we received from our auditor was the management letter for the year ended March 31, 2019. So from Kent and Duffett, Chartered Professional Accountants. We have recently completed our audit of the Town of Kentville. As part of that audit, we plan and perform the audit to obtain reasonable assurances that annual financial statements are free of material misstatements, but not for the purpose of expressing an opinion on the effectiveness of the entity's internal controls. An audit is conducted to enable us to form and express an opinion on the financial statements that have been prepared by management with the oversight of council. The audit of the financial statements does not relieve management or council of their responsibilities. However, in accordance with our normal practice, we write to draw your attention to certain matters which we identified during our audit of the financial statements of the Town of Kentville for the year ended March 31, 2019. There are no new issues to report this year, but there remains one issue previously reported on that we wish to draw to your attention. That issue is detailed in the attached report. We would like to thank the management and the staff of the Town of Kentville for their assistance and cooperation during the audit. We would be pleased to provide any clarification that you may require on the issues raised in this report. Yours truly, Andrew Force, is actually our auditor. So the issue: collection of receivables from other governments. During our testing of receivables, we noted that the town still has a material amount owing from the municipality of the County of Kings. The balance has been growing, and much of which is significantly older than 90 days, with minimal collection of the large outstanding sewer receivable amount. Despite ongoing collection activities of management, little progress has been made in the past 12 months to collect on these amounts. During our audit, it was communicated that there have been meetings between senior management, but to this point without successful resolution between the two parties. It was communicated to us that management continues to provide all requested information and responds to any queries in the timely manner. The town has also proposed arbitration as a means to resolve the dispute, but without response as of the date of this letter, June 17th. Implication: the town is dependent on budgeted revenues to meet their service obligation. By not collecting in a timely manner, the town incurs an unbudgeted interest cost, either through interest expense or lost interest revenue. Also, the longer the balance remains uncollected, the more likely the town is to incur unbudgeted write-offs of unpaid amounts, as seen in the current fiscal year. Based on our audit, we conclude the town must continue efforts to collect the outstanding amounts owed by other governments and assess which means of collection would be most viable given the lengthy time of non-collection. Council should establish a plan for promptly collecting the outstanding amounts and create a policy to ensure future amounts are collected in a more timely manner. So that is the management letter from Kenton Duffet. It should also be noted that we have an unqualified audit, which means that there was no issues found during the audit other than the one that has been provided here. You also have in your package the Town of Kentville Audit Committee recommendations. So the Town of Kentville audit was conducted by the firm of Kenton Duffet Chartered Professional Accountants during the months of May and June 2019. The Town of Kentville Council has committed to an audit committee composed of 3 members of council and 2 members of the public as recommended by the JMAT report. 3 members of council were reappointed in November 2019 for 2019-2020. Mayor Sandra Snow, Councillor Eric Ballin, Deputy Mayor Kate Savage. 2 members of the public were appointed in June of 2018, Mr. Chris Blanchette, a voting member, and Ms. Susan McDougall, also a voting member. 2 members of staff, Ms. Deb Crowell, Director of Finance, and Mr. Mark Phillips, Chief Administrative Officer. Mr. Chris Blanchette's 2-year term has ended, resulting in advertising for a new member of the committee. Mr. Peter Rainforth applied to be a member of the audit committee. So it is recommended that council appoint the following new citizen committee voting member to the 2018-2019 audit committee, Mr. Peter Rainforth. Thank you. Thank you. Is there any discussion? Question? All those in favor of appointing Mr. Peter Rainforth to the auditing committee as presented? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. The audit committee met on the 24th of June 2019 to discuss the results and conduct the audit. That's a typo there, with Mr. Andy Force. Additionally, he delivered the audit statements and letters. The audit committee recommends are as follows. It is recommended that council accept the audit report and documentation as presented. Thank you. Thank you. All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. The firm of Kenton Duffet Chartered Professional Accountants have completed their 3-year contract to provide auditing service to the town of Kentville. The audit committee wishes to thank the firm of Kenton Duffet Chartered Professional Accountants for their service over the last 3 years and working relationship established over that time period. The audit committee recommends that the town of Kentville move to a 5-year term for auditing services in respect of the amount of work required to set up and perform an audit of this scale and size, and as 5 years has become the industry standard. Thank you. Thank you. Discussion? All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. A request for proposal, RFP, will be prepared and posted to the provincial procurement site and hand-delivered to the incumbent and other local municipal audit firms. As per G57 Committees of Council policy, it is also recommended that the council appoint the following citizen committee voting members to the 2019-2020 Audit Committee: Ms. Susan McDougall and Mr. Peter Rainforth. Thank you. Thank you. Discussion? All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. You're turning me down? Turning up. Turn me up? Okay, as long as I don't squeak. All right, our lawyer isn't here yet, so I think we can move on to a few more pieces of business before he gets here, if there's no issue with that. Or if there's any questions, I realize that you've only just received the annual financial report, but it's yours to go through. If you have any questions at all, please do not to hesitate to contact Director Kroll. She is available to answer questions, and there are no foolish or stupid questions. This, as our auditor expressed, is done in PSAB format. So he said you could be an expert in auditing and in financial statements and not really get what some of these things mean. So it's there for your review and digestion. The other thing that I guess I want to say is there was a couple of key things that Mr. Force said to us. He said 92% of errors are unintentional. They did not find a single error, not even the allocation of HST to any of our files this year. So that is a really great statement, I guess. And the other thing that you should realize is that the accounting system that we use, the software is called Diamond. And in our system, you actually need 3 people to do something, or in collusion to do something bad. Because if something is out of whack, 3 people actually get an alert to say that something isn't right. And so he said that he tested that while he was here, and very happy with the way that everything works here in Kentville. He said that our system is beyond reproach, and that Kentville is the gold standard for keeping our books.
You may do a little promotion of Deb's report.
Oh, yes. So for those of you who don't like financial statements, you may want to read the Town of Kentville Annual Report, and you can find them going back 8 years, Deb? 7 or 8 years. They're all on our website. If you go to Town Council, do financial, it's all there right down the right-hand side. You can find the ones that you're looking for, and this gives you a snapshot of what's happening and what's going on. And again, it's one of the gold standards. Our auditor actually got a phone call and asked if he forced the town of Kentville to do this kind of report, and he said, "Oh no," he said that's all Deb. So once again, we're leading the pack on that. So it's an excellent document, and it can situate you very well with where we are as far as our financials go. Any questions or comments, Councillor Deputy Mayor? Sorry.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just was going to see if maybe Director Kroll was going to comment on our financial indicators, or maybe you might want to do that.
Director Kroll, do you want?
Or financial condition FCIs.
Yeah, or FCIs.
Yeah, I just think it's.
I don't have them in front of me.
Oh.
But they have been released by the province for the not this past year, but the year before, 17-18. The town of Kentville, I believe, has 3 yellow marks and the rest are green, which means that the town is in very good financial stead in comparison to many other towns in the province. So we strive to have as few yellows is possible, but there are a couple indicators that we will probably never get a green mark in, just because of the nature of our population and the per capita income in Kentville, that type of thing. But anyway, Kentville is certainly leading the pack with its financial condition index, and we're very proud of our financial position in the province. And that's about all I can say. It's on the provincial site if you wanted to look at it. I believe that it was issued to us, and I think Mark got it, I got it, and I don't know if it's been put up on your own site, but it is available on the provincial site, and you can actually pull up Kentville and look and see how we've done, and we should be very proud of ourselves.
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks, Deb. And just as a note, for anyone who reads the Town of Kentville newsletter, under the Governance Minute, you will find a 4-part series on our FCIs with the actual 2017 numbers in there for people to look at. Councillor Gerard.
Thank you, Worship. I was just curious as to the changing the audit. What year, we normally do 3-year increments, correct? What year are we in?
The end of the third.
The end of the third.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it'll go for RFP.
Yeah.
And 5 is the new normal.
Yeah, no,
Across the board.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Deb, did you have anything else to add?
I just wanted to say a great public thanks to Kent and Duffett for their hard work on our audit process. It's always a wonderful experience to work with Andy and his team. So I'd like to thank them publicly for that. I'd also like to thank Robin Peish for her long hours of work on the financial statements. Without her, we wouldn't have much to look at. So publicly thank Robin for that, and as well as other members of the finance team who actually do help Andy through the process by offering information when he requests it. So basically, a thank you to finance staff overall.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, I guess we can move on to our unfinished business. How about Hardware Gallery quarterly report?
Certainly.
Financials.
This is, so what's included in your package this evening is both the report that was presented in June, as well as at CAC on June 10th. That report did not include financials. However, they were received, I think, on June 13th by Sasha Nielsen, and are there for your consideration just to add to the report. So I expect as you kind of move forward, I think it's towards September, is that when our 6-month extension is? That
Yes.
whether it's your discussion or a future presentation by them, that some of these pieces will all support that future discussion. So it's really just there for your consideration, no action required unless you have any questions or direction to us on that. Okay.
Oh, Deputy Mayor, go ahead,
Thank
please.
you, Your Worship. Sorry, when I looked at this a couple days ago, I didn't see the expense piece, so was it just attached later on, maybe?
Well, I thought the top piece
No, the top piece was there.
for the expenses.
No, the top piece that went down to Sincerely Sasha Nelson. But I didn't see the Hardware Gallery expenses. So are these all just expenses? Are there any revenues? Oh,
Below.
sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't see these.
No
Okay.
problem.
Total revenue, total expense. Okay, sorry. Yeah, thank you. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Okay, I didn't see those.
Okay.
Nothing else? All right, let's move on to the legislative update session. So again, we received no feedback on your desires as far as the legislative update session. So unless you have a reason to want to pursue that, we'll leave it as info only. Everyone's good?
Good.
All right. All right, I see that our legal has arrived, so we will move into a closed session. So the council has confidential legal business concerning the outstanding receivables by Kings County, which must be conducted in a closed session. We require a motion to go into the closed session to discuss the agenda item. Thank you. Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that council move into a closed session. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion is carried. Deputy Mayor, did you hit your button? No? Okay, all good. So the time is now 20 after 7. Good to go? All right, welcome back. We have a motion from our closed session to proceed with collection activities as directed to the CAO in the closed session. Okay, Kathy? Thank you. Is there any discussion on the motion that has been moved and seconded? All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. All right, let's get back to our usual agenda, and we are now at recommendations and reports, and recommendations arising from the CAC meeting will be presented and moved by Councillor Eric Bolland. And Councillor, you have your sheets. You can go right ahead.
Thank you very much. At the June 10th, 2019 meeting of Council Advisory Committee, Director Gentleman presented a report for an amendment to Chapter 96, quote, Special Lands Bylaw, quote. The change is regarding the removal of the reference to the zone, quote, residential futures, end quote, and replacing it with the large lot residential, which is consistent with definitions in Kentville's municipal planning strategy and use bylaw. Council Advisory Committee recommended, and I so move, that Council give first reading to the proposed amendment to Special Events Bylaw, Chapter 96, regarding the amendment of Part 4.11.3 to replace residential futures with large lot residential, which is consistent with definitions in Kentville's municipal planning strategy and use bylaw.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that council approve first reading of the proposed amendment to the Special Events Bylaw, Chapter number 96. Is there any discussion?
Question?
Councillor Andrew?
Just that should say land use bylaw at the end instead of use bylaw.
Oh, very good. Thank you. That's a friendly amendment to that motion. We don't need to vote on the amendment. All right, is there any further discussion? Are you ready for the question?
Question?
Voting is now open. Voting is now closed. I forgot the steamboats. We're so excited to have our little... Motion is carried. Thank you. AT?
Okay. At the June 10th, 2019 meeting of Council Advisory Committee, Director Benningfield presented the draft active transportation plan for the town. The plan considered public engagement events, existing conditions, spatial equality, existing barriers in the town, focus on potential of high volume traffic around the center, existing plans and strategy. The approximate cost to implement the plan is $150,000 annually over 15 years. Council Advisory Committee recommended, and I so move, that Council accept the Kentville Moves Active Transportation Plan and approve in principle the projects contained within. And further, Council and staff commit to a detailed review of the strategy and the implementation of policy and projects.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that council accept the Kentville Moves Active Transportation Plan and approve in principle the projects contained within. And further, council and staff commit to a detailed review of the strategy and the implementation of policy and projects. Is there any further discussion?
Question?
Ready for the question? Voting is now open. Voting is now closed. And the motion is passed unanimously. And can you do these as
Next one.
three separate or four separate motions, please?
4 separate motions.
Yes.
Okay. Review of four town policies. At the June 10th, 2019 meeting of Council Advisory Committee, CEO Phillips reviewed the feedback from the review period of four town policies. After a policy statement is reviewed by council, the policy is reviewed and discussed after 6 months in use. The following policies were reviewed and feedback was provided by Mayor Snow. Policy Statement G5, Council Remuneration and Benefits. Policy Statement G57, Committees of Council. Policy Statement G69, Council Reports. And Policy G70, Council Meetings. Council Advisory Committee recommended, and I so move. So the first one we're going to deal with is number 1, that Policy Statement G5, Council Remuneration and Benefits be approved with the attached amendments.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that policy statement G5, council remuneration and benefits be approved with the attached amendments. Is there any discussion? Voting is now open. Voting is now closed. And the motion is carried unanimously. Thank you.
Number 2, that Policy Statement G57, Committees of Council be approved with the attached amendments. And I so move.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that policy statement G57, committees of council be approved with the attached amendments. Are you ready for the question? Voting is now open. Voting is now closed. And motion is carried unanimously. Thank you.
Item number 3, that Policy Statement G69, Council Reports be approved with the attached amendments. I so move.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that policy statement G69, council reports be approved with the attached amendments. Is there any discussion? Ready for the question? Voting is now open. Voting is now closed. And the motion is carried unanimously. Thank you.
And finally, item number 4, that Policy Statement G70, Council Meetings be approved with the attached amendments.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that policy statement G70, council meetings be approved with the attached amendments. Is there any discussion? Voting is now open. Voting is now closed. Motion is carried unanimously. Thank you.
Kentville Public Garden Project. At the June 10th, 2019 meeting of Council Advisory Committee, CEDC Young presented her report on the development of a public garden space in downtown Kentville at 390 Main Street. The property owner would like to lease the site to the town for 10 years for a total of $10. Funding for the garden has been approved in the 2019-2020 budget, and additional funding has been awarded by the Provincial Department of Municipal Affairs. Council Advisory Committee recommended, and I so move, that Council approve the attached public garden draft lease agreement.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded that council approve the attached public garden draft lease agreement. Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Worship. I just had a question. On the lease, miscellaneous clause number 15. Parties may not terminate this lease prior to the term ending unless parties agree in writing. Does this mean both parties?
Solicitor, did you want to, do you need to see this? Okay.
Got it up there. Yeah, it would be a
It has to be mutual
agreement, yes.
And I guess my second question, this would be for the CAO. If there is an early termination, is there a clause in there that says there would be remuneration coming back to the town for, say, for example, we get 2 years in and something happens where the owner of the land says, you know what, I want it back, I got a really good idea. Is there, or should
I
there?
can answer that.
Yes.
There's nothing in there, but because it requires both parties' agreement, then you can negotiate what the
Okay.
terms of termination might
Okay,
be.
yep, no, that's perfect, thank you.
Is there any further discussion? You ready for the question? Voting is now open. Voting is now closed. And the motion is carried unanimously. Thank you.
Next item, Valley Waste Management 2019-20 Operations and Capital Budget. At the June 10th, 2019 meeting of Council Advisory Committee, C.L. Phillips reviewed the background of the annual budget process with the Valley Waste Management Authority. The contribution request is consistent with the approved amount in the Town of Kentville 2019-2020 operating budget. Council Advisory Committee recommended, and I so move, first item, that Council approve the Valley Waste Management Authority approved 2019-2020 operating budget in the amount of $9,964,825, of which $652,900 is the Town of Kentville share under the municipal agreement.
Thank you. Thank you. It has been moved and seconded that council approve the Valley Waste Management Authority approved 2019-2020 operating budget in the amount of $9,964,825, of which $652,900 is the Town of Kentville share under the municipal agreement. Is there any discussion?
Question?
Voting is now open. Voting is now closed, and the motion is carried unanimously. Thank you.
Item number 2, that council approve the Valley Waste Management Authority approved 2019-2020 capital budget in the amount of $97,700.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded that council approve the Valley Waste Management Authority approved 2019-2020 capital budget in the amount of $97,700. Is there any discussion? Ready for the question? Voting is now voting is now closed. And the motion is carried unanimously. Thank you.
Next item, Town of Kentville 2019-2020 sanitary sewer budgets. At the June 10th, 2019 meeting of Council Advisory Committee, C.L. Phillips presented the sanitary sewer, misspell there, 2019-2020 operating capital budgets. Highlights include a decrease in revenue by 2.5%, $33,400, and a decrease in expenditures by 2.4%, $31,200. Council Advisory Committee recommended, and I so move, item number 1, that Council approve the Kentville Sanitary Sewer Area Operating Budget 2019-2020 as follows. Revenue, $1,284,600, with expenditures of $1,283,400, leaving a surplus of $1,200.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded that council approve the Kentville Sanitary Sewer Area Service operating budget for 2019-2020 as follows. Revenue of $1,284,600 with expenditures of $1,283,400, leaving a surplus of $12,000. Is there any discussion? Ready for the question?
The motion's
Motion,
$1,200.
$1,200 is the motion.
$1,200. Oh, sorry, not 12,000.
We'll take the
I was
12,000.
a little excited about that. So my correction, leaving a surplus of $1,200. Voting is now open. Voting is now closed. And the motion is carried unanimously. Thank you.
Item number 2, that council approve the Kentville Sanitary Sewer Area Service 2019-2020 capital budget in the amount of $210,000, including its funding sources.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that council approve the Kentville Sanitary Sewer Area of Service 2019-2020 capital budget in the amount of $210,000, including its funding sources. Is there any discussion?
Question?
Voting is now open. Voting is now closed, and the motion is carried unanimously.
Parkview Road Tax Exemption. At the June 10th, 2019 meeting of Council Advisory Committee, CAO Phillips read the letter from Sheridan Developments describing the property at 36 Parkview Road, where a structure was damaged by fire in May 2018. The property owner is requesting that the town provide a reduction in their tax rate under Section 69A of the MGA. Council Advisory Committee recommended, and I so move, that council support the request for tax exemption under Kentville Policy Statement G37F, tax reduction.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded that council support the request for tax exemption, Kentville Policy Statement G37F, tax reduction. Oh, no, not yet. Go ahead. Sorry. Is there any discussion? Councillor Gerard.
Was there not supposed to be more documentation that came in? I'm just curious if it did.
The letter arrived, yes.
Okay.
It was put up on, it was a late arrival,
Okay,
but it
perfect.
is in your package.
Step 3 is yet to be carried out. Request the assessment service to provide the new evaluation. So once they do that, but we have our letter from the inspector.
Yep, perfect.
Any further discussion? Are you ready for the question?
Question?
All right. Voting is now open. Voting is now closed, and the motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. All right, we will move on to councillor reports. So reports will be added to the public record under a single motion at the end of the presentation. Councillor Andrew, you're first up, please.
Okay, I did, Jennifer, did you get, anyway, it doesn't matter, I sent something with a little bit on my committees added on. However, you didn't receive that. I guess just the big thing this month, because I was away for a bit for some family time, but I attended the FCM, or Federation of Canadian Municipalities, in Quebec City, along with Mayor Snow and our CAO. It was great, an amazing trade show, and as I say in my report, that the highlight was really the connections socially, having coffee, having lunch, having dinner, going out for a walk, going to the pool, having a swim with a mayor from a town up north, and so that was invaluable, and you just kind of bounce things. We do things here, and we have a certain way we do them, and it's the only council I'm really acquainted with, but you bounce some of those off other people, and you discover that they do things somewhat differently, and in some cases their ideas are challenging, and so it was a real stretching time in that regard. Lots of great discussion, especially as we approach an election year. No great thrills really in my mind with the federal leaders talking. It's such campaign talk at this point that you're not really getting to the heart of matters. However, it's still interesting to hear what their respective platforms are. I don't know, I guess if anyone wants to know more about what we experienced there, I'm certainly happy to be grabbed on the street or question. Otherwise, I think it was a worthwhile investment.
Excellent. Thank you.
And I did, hold on, you don't have it there. Okay, I'll just, if I can add, I was not at the last, I believe Councillor Gerard may have more to share on the last Joint Fire Service Committee meeting, but, just a second,
We've got a report.
you do, oh, you do have a report?
Yeah.
from
That's just the
Councillor-
statistics, but
Okay,
not necessarily on the
I
discussion.
did have just nothing that grand, I guess, but let me just grab my glasses. So I did, with regard to Joint Fire Service, that we've seen a continuation of, I think, an era of efficiency under Chief Deloge. Membership is, I think, I would say steady at, I think it's 52. I don't have the number here, but I think it's 52 active members. And the site, the hall is being considered for some upgrades that would make it a qualified or legitimate EMO evac site. I believe the next meeting, from what I've read, has not yet been scheduled. I think there's going to be a poll of members of that committee to further discuss budget matters. I think the county, if I understand correctly, has not yet had all their questions answered. And I just want to say that, you know, we speak highly here of our fire service. It's one of the most challenging committees in that regard, because it's so essential and it's so important. Whether we've been impacted by fire or not, and we're trying to balance a budget, but for an essential service. And I find that is sometimes really tough. Sometimes you just think, can't we just give them more? So you try to balance that fiscal responsibility with the essential nature of their service. With regard to King's Transit Authority, an extensive overview of operations has been coupled with an eye to correcting historical accounting issues. So that's been hopeful, promising. As part of implementing updated fiscal management, King's Transit Authority has approved the establishment of an $83,000 operating reserve, and there is a letter that, to come with regard to that, and I'm not sure what we'll have to say about that, but it's something as the authority we've come up with. This seems to be both modest and reasonable, given the typically large costs that the Transit Authority is often faced with. The King's Transit Authority General Manager has communicated such to the owner/partner municipalities. And that's my report.
All right, thank you very much. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. So last council meeting attended was May 27th. Last CAC was June 10th. My only two committees that I attended the last month were June 12th, Diversity Kings, where we reviewed the recent domestic violence leave that was just issued through the province of Nova Scotia. We were introduced to some truth and reconciliation calls to action to be presented to Mayor Snow. Those should, I do have a copy of that, and I'll give it to you. There were some committee events that we talked about, Pride Week and multicultural event. And then the Missing, Murdered, and Indigenous Women final report has come out from the federal government, and that was reviewed to some of the committee members. It's quite a lengthy report. I've not read it yet, but I've scanned it a little bit. June 12th was the Investment Advisory Committee, and we reviewed the Reports and Recommendations Fund report month ended May 31st, 2019, with the market value of the portfolio. So May 31st, just north of 13 million. And as we always do, reviewed our overall stock allocation by industry and by asset. Some of the events that I took part in, May 31st, the Apple Blossom Breakfast. The Kinsmen put on a great breakfast where the royal party attended for their official visit, and I brought greetings on behalf of Mayor Snow as she was attending FCM. I also took part in the ABF Children's Parade with great pride. It was a great parade and a beautiful day, well attended. And I also took part in the Relay for Life. I was honored to attend that in the beautiful Memorial Park. And Mayor Snow brought greetings on behalf of our town. And Bergie Hazel shared her survivor story, which really brought home to me what survival is all about and the struggle that folks with cancer face every day. And that is a short report, but it is my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ballin, please.
Thank you, Worship. Date of last council meeting attended May 27th, last CAC, May 13th. June 11th, the Kentville Water Commission, we had a review by Director Kroll and subsequent approval of our operating capital budget. June 19th, Valley Waste, and be some further on that later. Devil's Half Acre weekend, June 15th to 16th. I got out a bit early, helped out C.O. Phillips and other volunteers with setup, and then went to a nice Lions breakfast. And I, like a lot of people, certainly enjoyed the vendors that were in town, and good fireworks show. So again, the weather was so critical with this event. Valley Waste, again, we met June 19th, the usual staff reports. One item that we all heard about through the media was Andrew Garrett, our regional coordinator, gave an update on EPR and announced that the province is looking very seriously at that. And then subsequently as well, on June 10th, the federal government said they're going to look at EPR as well across the country. Valley Waste currently showing a surplus as of May 31st of 19.7%, or $94,301. This in comparison to a year ago, we had a deficit of $43,826. So despite our issues with County of Annapolis, we've turned around a lot of things, and it's good to see that turnaround there. So under miscellaneous, on June 7th, I attended MLA Irving's announcement of funding from the Department of Municipal Affairs Beautification Program and expressed the town's appreciation of this funding for Kentville. On the 14th, I met with CO Juanita Spencer, CO Phillips, and Mayor Snow regarding NSM-FM activities and other things that we are involved with in Annapolis Valley with our other regional municipalities either side of us. So it was a good little workshop for an hour or so. And that is my report.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Maxwell.
Okay. Date of the last council meeting, May 27th. Council advisory meeting, June 10th. And last governance session was May 24th. On June 5th, I held the bursary selection committee meeting. And a report on this will be given after high school graduations have taken place. So we won't name our recipients just yet. May 31st, I attended the Kinsman Apple Blossom Pancake Breakfast. It was a well-attended event with the princesses in attendance. Great breakfast with pancakes being flipped by our police chief and various political leaders, that should say MLAs, and challengers as far as MP candidates go. June the 1st was the Apple Blossom Festival parades. Attended those, beautiful day. So all parades were well attended, and once again, our staff contribution was excellent, exceptional, actually. June 7th, I attended the funding announcement for our public garden. This was basically an event held in Wolfville by Kings West MLA Keith Irving, who announced various green and beautification grants from the province. And the town of Kentville received a grant for our soon-to-be-developed public garden beside the King's Arm Pub. And thanks to owner Joey Murphy for providing the land and going into an agreement with us there. June 13th, I attended the 100 Women Who Care Annapolis Valley. This group held their meeting at the Main Street Station, thanks to Safeguard Property Management for donating the space. Winner this month was the Annapolis Valley chapter of the Brain Injury Association of Nova Scotia. The 100 women are always looking for more members, so check out their Facebook page for more information there. And June 15th, I attended the Devil's Half Acre motorcycle event. What a day Saturday was for this event. The number of motorcycles in town was amazing, and I am always impressed by the many different styles, and that's styles of motorbikes, but there are also a lot of different styles of clothing as well. The event went smoothly, lots of people roaming town, and the weather was awesome. And that's my report.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And from Councillor Pulsifer, we have a request for family leave. She will be absent from council from the 24th of June and most likely CAC on June 8th. Due to family issues, she's traveling to Colorado to assist her daughter, and she regrets missing 2 meetings in a row, but there are family priorities at this time, so respectfully submitted from Councillor Pulsifer. Councillor Gerard.
Thank you, Worship. Very brief report from me. Last council meeting was May 27th. Last is June 10th. June the 11th, I attended the Water Commission where we passed the budget. And June 13th was Kentville Village Fire Services, where besides other things, most of the discussion was around the fire budget. I know we passed the budget, the county has not, and now the fire services disputing what they were giving, and I think they're actually going to meet with the county council and ask for clarification on what they've been giving. And that is, I did attend the Devil's Half Acre, and I did attend that one.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you very much. All right, mine's next. So the last council meeting attended was the 27th of May, last council advisory with 10th of June, and last governance session was the 24th of May. So the Kentville Water Commission had a budget meeting, and we approved an operating budget of $1,881,100, and with a surplus of $270,000 expected. And our capital budget was $382,800 was approved, funded from the Depreciation Reserve Fund. Years 2020 and 2021 and 2021 and 2022 were approved in principle. We had the Valley Regional Enterprise Network LOC meeting, and we had several updates from the Valley Ren. And you'll see on your desks that you actually have a copy of the annual report that came out at the AGM. But this was discussed, and this is an excellent report, and there's some really great information in here with regards to what's gone on in our area from an economic development perspective. Events that I attended, I got to be I got to be a drive-through person at Tim Hortons on Camp Day, the 5th of June. I have to say that my face has never been so dirty, and I didn't know it was dirty until I went home and was actually using a cotton thing to clean my face, and it was all full of this black stuff, and it was just the soot from having my head hung out the window for 3 hours. But anyway, there's got to be something toxic about that work environment is all I have to say. But it was a great experience. So I may have found my next career as a Tim Hortons drive-through person. Mind you, I would have to wear my glasses because I couldn't actually see what the order was. So I had this young woman with me helping me out so she could do the reading and I could just do the handing and the collection of money. The 6th of June was the grand opening of the King's RCMP headquarters in New Minas. I just want to say that they do plan on having a public opening in September. So when they announce it, put it on your calendars because it's quite the building to see. It is really nice. The intent is to house 72 employees in there and to operate as the headquarters for the Western Nova Scotia. And it was a very nice ceremony, and I have to say that there were some pretty powerful women there, from the head here in Nova Scotia to the head of the Western Nova Scotia, and the woman who did the smudging, the elder. It was pretty cool to see. Relay for Life, of course, always one of those great events that I get to attend and welcome people to. The numbers were a little smaller this year, whether it was weather dependent. I mean, it was a lovely evening, but again, if ever you thought about getting out there and doing something for Relay for Life, it's a really great event to do that for. And then on the 12th of June, I had the best day ever, I just want to say. So I had the pleasure of flying in on a Cormorant helicopter from 14 Wing, Greenwood, to KCA for a static display. This all happened because a parent of a student at KCA works at 413 as a reservist. And they had a family day a few weeks ago, and they were overflying KCA and Kentville, and it was just such a view, and he thought, well, what if we could land a helicopter there for the kids that go to KCA? I mean, most of them probably never get to see a helicopter up close. So he checked with the principal, and she was all in. And then because of rules, I have to sign a piece of paper to say that they're allowed to do this, plus the fact that they were landing on town of Kentville property. And so I was down in Greenwood the week before, and I saw the CO of 413, and I said to him, thank you so much for making this happen. It's going to be a great experience for our kids. And he looked at me and he said, well, did you want to join the crew in flying down? And anyway, needless to say, I was in there like a dirty shirt. And they strapped me in, and I was hanging off the back ramp. It flew here open. And then on the way back, I got to sit in the side door. I mean, they don't have guns or anything, but I got to sit in the side door, so it was really cool. And I have to say, the kids were a little surprised when I hopped out of the helicopter. But the other thing, the crew was very, very supportive of doing this. But they couldn't believe the fact that they put over 500 kids and students through that aircraft in just over 2 hours. The kids and staff were so well organized at KCA. It was absolutely incredible. So our students definitely took the day on that one. Not to be outdone, next day I got to be a radio star for an hour. But how much time do you actually get to talk when you're co-hosting with Darren Harvey? So I just want to push that out there. But it was my moment to support the Children's Wish Foundation. That evening, the Kentville Lions Club had an appreciation dinner and installation of their officers. Again, if you're looking for a local service club, the Kentville Lions Club are always looking for new members. On the 14th of June, we had a King's Power meeting, and again, this was brought about because of a local citizen from Wolfville, Bill Zimmerman, who is interested in power and power utility and maybe a green approach to it. So he brought us all together. You can see who were in attendance, and just kind of start the conversation as to whether or not we want to be in the power business. So no decisions were made, and it was just basically left as an information session. On the 14th of June, I attended and made the toast for the Annapolis Valley Women of Excellence Award. The AVCC hosted this event at the Old Orchard Inn. Over 400 attendees, 24 finalist nominees were selected from 130 nominees across the valley. And there were 5 category winners of this. So it was absolutely incredible event. And the number of women in this valley that are operating businesses and they're setting up businesses, absolutely outstanding. 15th and 16th of June, Devil's Half Acre. I attended both events. On Saturday, I was part of a beard contest judge, and that was something else. On Sunday, I made the draw for the winning tickets, so that was kind of great. On the 17th of June, a couple of members from the Masonic Lodge came to meet with us. They are going to be celebrating their 150th anniversary in Kentville on September of 2020. And they are very excited to do something for the town of Kentville to commemorate that milestone. I attended the Federation of Canadian Municipalities from the 30th of May to the 2nd of June. My trip report is attached. I won't go into great details other than to say that it was an excellent conference. The Quebec City was a really nice location. Mind you, torrential rain was not what was expected, but again, it was a really great place to have this. Mind you, getting in and out of Quebec City by air carrier is just, it's a real bear. Source Water Protection Committee, we met, and our current takeaway or homework from the meeting was a review of our source water protection plan. It's an ongoing activity. And the source water protection plan is always available on our website. If you go to, at the top, council, or council, and then dig down further through to Public Works, you'll find that document there. Miscellaneous events that I attended, I got to be part of the annual ceremonial review for the King's Army Cadets up at Aldershot, and made a presentation of an award to a young man who was in his final year of Army Cadets, because at age 19 they have to move on to something else, and he's actually going to NSCC, so really kind of a great story. And then you can see the rest of my meetings, and that is my report. So if I could have a motion to accept the members of council's reports as presented. Thank you. Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that members of council reports be adopted as presented. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to correspondence, CAO.
Your Worship, you have a piece of correspondence for Princess Colebrook, Kaylee Allen, thanking you for the wonderful pancake breakfast and the Children's Parade and Grand Street Parade. The town has been wonderful. Thanks so much. Signed, Kaylee Allen. Second piece of correspondence is from King's Transit. If you'll permit, I really will just highlight this. Glenn has, the executive director, has asked that he present this at CAC along with the budget. So you have a sneak peek at his letter and correspondence associated primarily with the creation of the operating reserve. It's something you can think about between now and then, and of course he can add his sales pitch, I guess we might say, to that. So if that's appropriate, I'll just leave that like that.
I do have a question though,
Sure.
CAO.
Yep.
So at his last paragraph, he says, these approved motions by the Board of Directors are forwarded for your review and consideration. So do we still have a chance to weigh in on this
That
when
will
he
happen
comes?
Yep, that's the intent of him presenting this at CAC.
Okay.
In reality, he sent it to us and we put it right up, and then
Okay.
he later asked, I probably would rather present that to CAC.
Okay.
So we just left it there, and you can see it in advance.
Okay, and for clarification, it goes on further to say the town of Wolfville share. So is that the town of Wolfville share, or is that our share, that $12,000?
Well,
He did have that as an error in the report, and because he's away right now, he wasn't able to fix it. So that should say Kentville's, and it should have an amount for Kentville's share. So he will fix that when he gives the presentation.
Okay, very good, thank you. Councillor Andrew.
Oh, I was just, I guess Mark already said it. That's essentially a recommendation.
Okay,
It sounds very definitive, but obviously council isn't instructed how to decide on things from the authorities.
okay, thank you.
again, you can debate that at CAC.
Perfect,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay. The next piece I think is missing in your council package, but I have the benefit on the backside, so I think it's on the public webpage, but I have it on the screen for you to see. So it's a thank you letter from the Kentville Historical Society and their president. Says, on behalf of the King's Historical Society and Board of Directors, I would like to thank you for a continuation of your support to our organization through the grants to organization allocation of $2,000. Historically, funding from the town has been used to offset our tax bill of $2,946.18. This will be the first year that we will now need to pay towards our tax bill in the amount of close to $950. The current situation is in no way diminishes the gratitude that we feel for the current support, but does unfortunately make the operation of our building and programming we provide that more challenging with the additional need to fundraise almost $1,000 a year to meet our budget. If there are any other means by which we might work to lower the existing tax bill to be in line with the current grant offered by the town, I would be thrilled to discuss such an opportunity with you. Sincerely, Kelly Marasta.
So as a note to file on that one, that tax rate that you see there, that $2,946.18 is already reduced from their commercial standing. So they are as low as what we can charge them under the MGA. So they are being charged for residential tax rate. Otherwise, it would be well over $6,000 a year that their tax bill would be. So that's just a note to file for your information if anybody asks. All right, we have no new business. We have no public comment, so I guess we will move in camera again. So the council has confidential land business concerning the recent flooding, which must be conducted in a closed session. We require a motion to go into the closed session to discuss the agenda item. Thank you. Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that council move into a closed session. All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. And the time is 9:30.